What's up, everybody? Coach Ricky Burke here. I am a certified health and wellness coach and personal trainer based out of San Diego, California, and I have been for the last almost 11 years now. Today's video, I wanted to talk about my experience with sobriety. Today is October 19th, 2024. Today marks 2 years, no alcohol. I've made this video a couple different times. I left out some important details, so a little more long-winded here. Of course, I'll put the highlights and snippets on Instagram, but if you are somebody who is struggling in any form of physical or mental health, whether it be obesity, depression, anxiety, addiction, things like that, it does go hand in hand at this point. I am considered a fitness professional and a professional in my industry. So these are all just my experiences, the experience that I've had with my clients, with other people. Granted, results may vary, but personally, I would like to talk about a couple statistics, a couple personal bullet points that have really helped me with my journey to sobriety, self-mastery, what have you. And then just really break down the last 2 years of personal stuff, what's happened with me, and obviously how I've been able to compartmentalize thoughts and just overall deal with it. So, first and foremost, of course, if your addiction, problem, issue, whatever you'd like to call it, if you know you have anything, get help, whether that be a mental therapist, a trainer. Granted, we are not all the way equipped to deal with these problems, but get help in some way, shape, or form. I've been in therapy multiple times. I actually graduated last year, back in now, off and on, and even coaches have coaches, clearly. LeBron James, the best basketball player in the entire world, has personal trainers, recovery coaches, mental health coaches, therapists, so you are not above anybody, respectfully. So, first off, I want to start off with a couple of statistics that I thought were really shocking, especially after post-COVID. You know, a lot of us were kind of forced to work other jobs we didn't necessarily want to do over COVID. And for me, that really exposed my love for the game, which is fitness and in the industry and training. And it really got me around and surrounded with a lot of other people that aren't necessarily fitness minded. So it was really interesting to see the spectrum of, you know, somebody like myself versus somebody who is the exact opposite of me, working in America, in San Diego, one of the most expensive city in the world. It's really interesting to see like what makes people tick. So as far as statistics, over 50% of the US population is obese in some way, shape, or form. Basically overweight. And I'm not sure how they track that, if it's BMI or just overall weight to age ratio. Regardless, that is an issue. And I think we can all kind of speak for ourselves and probably all agree that the last couple years especially, we've all developed some sort of either allergy or intolerance to some sort of gluten or dairy or something. If not, great, you're good. But a fair percentage of people that I know, at least in San Diego, have experienced some sort of a diet change. In addition to that, 60% of Americans experience some form of anxiety, depression, mental health disorder in America, whether that be, you know, overstress, poor diet, lack of sleep, most likely all three. There's a lot of factors that can really play with the brain. As far as even like psychosis, a lot of us, you know, like no one's perfect. Granted, no one's perfect, but not everybody has all the answers. A lot of us don't even know that there is an issue or a problem until it's too late, unfortunately, whether that be poor diet or even like mobility and physical. Like a good quote that's going around on the internet right now is everybody has a million problems until you have a health problem. And then you have one problem, staying alive. So it's a deep way to think about it if you don't have a morbid illness, but a good amount of people will end up with some sort of morbid illness or morbid obesity if they continue on the path that they're in. The last statistic is at least 40% of Americans deal with some sort of substance abuse issue. Sorry, automatic light. Now, that kind of goes hand in hand with the addiction of the sugar and the excess carbs, but then also the depression and what gets that serotonin level to spike and what obviously tickles our fancy when it comes to scratching that itch. Is it the food? Is it the drugs? Is it the alcohol? Is it the social media? Is it the porn? Is it the anything that is instant gratification for little to no long-term benefit. Granted, that's 40, 50, and 60 percentages. That's all half or more of what makes us tick as a society. And I don't think anybody really talks about that besides the fitness industry, which is about maybe 10% of Americans. So just statistically, right then and there, I just want to drop some education on you. I did want to talk about how it's helped me. My issue, I'm not even saying issue, but clearly growing up in San Diego, more of a party town. If there's any cops out there, sorry, but did have a fake ID before I was 21. So my experience in the party scene was a lot sooner and more frequent than a lot of other people's. And that's why, speaking from my experience, take it as you will. But granted, I'm 29 years old, but I've had a lot more experiences than a lot of other 29-year-olds, especially in the kind of adult scene, alcohol, beverage industry, whatever you want to call it, just like working in that environment, being there all the time. My wife worked there at one point, just being around it, obviously big difference. So when I was younger, even as a coach, I always yearned for, more structure, like an earlier wake up time. So a couple ways that that's helped me the last 2 years is I consistently have like a 4:45 wake up time AM. That allows me to get right to work, be super productive. If I don't have clients, I work out. And for me, it's really helped compartmentalize thoughts and be a lot more consistent, not only with myself and my training, but also with my clients, my availability, and even my mood. Because obviously, clearly, you want a coach that's always going to be at least matching your energy at the very least. And that's really helped me. Clearly, that's helped more kind of going back to the COVID thing when things were kind of up in the air. It really cemented my career as a personal trainer. For a while, I really loved it and I enjoyed it, but there was just some things, like the consistent scheduling, like I struggled with some things. And I think once I realized that the problem was me, like I just needed to become a more efficient person and a more efficient coach, everything really just fell into place, honestly. My marriage became more successful. I felt more self-worth as far as like the substance of conversations I would have. Instead of talking about like just sports and getting fucked up, I would talk about, like how was your day? What makes you tick? What makes you sad or mad or angry or whatever? What stimulus makes you feel X emotion? And how can we get that negative emotion to happen less? And for me, that's been super rewarding as a coach to be able to compartmentalize thoughts with people and clearly not only help them physically, but also mentally as well. And of course, for me, like saving money and saving time, like, everyone's gonna give me shit. Oh, must be nice to be off in the middle of the day. Must be nice to have your own garage gym. Yeah, it must be nice to spend close to $3,000 up front on gym equipment and the time I've had to reshuffle this stuff. Yeah, it's a little bit of an investment that I've had to do, and it is nice. I did get a return on that investment, and you could too if you didn't spend X amount of dollars partying, getting messed up on the weekends, going to that sporting event or that concert or that thing that takes up time, energy, and effort. That's also going to hinder you the next day because you're going to be hungover, you're going to be tired, you stayed up late. I'm not comparing, but I don't have that issue anymore because I've prioritized my sleep, my timing, my space, and my peace of mind. And let's see, my performance as an athlete, that's pretty much it. Obviously, clearly, that all ties into the better version of me without drinking rather than with drinking. But my performance as an athlete, obviously, clearly as a coach, I was able to run a half marathon 6 months after a shoulder reconstruction and train for it and run under 2 hours or right around 2 hours with that. And for me, that was awesome. I am an amateur, very amateur Muay Thai practitioner. I wouldn't even call myself a fighter. I have a ton of respect and admiration for the game and coaches and people, and it is much easier to stay ready than it is to get ready. And I love the fact that I can continue to teach the lineage of Muay Thai from my coaches to my clients, and I don't feel like I have to prepare for the Super Bowl just to show them something that's a little physically demanding. My recovery is much better. My obviously ability to show them and be able to, at a high volume and frequency, consistently progress not only my skills, but my client skills. And that gives me a ton of pride and makes me very happy. Now, getting a little more gritty, a little more personal. That's at least how it's helped me the last 2 years now. Things that probably would have knocked me off my rocker, and I'm getting a little deep here. That's why this video is going on YouTube, is a lot of people have deep issues that they don't necessarily want to talk about. I don't really care. I'm an open book. I mean, the last 2 years, so it's been 2 years since no alcohol. It was October 19th, 2024. It was the National League Championship Series, the Padres versus the Phillies. It was game 2. That was my last drink I had. I was gifted tickets at the time, right around 2-3 years ago. I would go drink by myself a ton. I was like pretty depressed. I was kind of forced to work a job. I still had training clients, but I was kind of forced to work a full-time job that I hated, or a couple that I hated, and just wasn't for me. I didn't feel fulfilled. I felt like I was just wasting my time and effort. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel that way, and that at the end of the day, they go home and they're so relieved that they're just not suffering anymore that they just try to take a load off. Drinking, smoking a bowl of drugs, whatever, like whatever that vice is, try to manage that as best as possible. Going into more of my personal kind of bugaboos that would have knocked me off my rocker is, I'm just looking at this board because it is quite a bit. So my surgery day, or my 2 years sober date is October 19th, 2024. Like the next week, like October 25th, I met my father for the first time as an adult. I met him once when I was 12 for like 30 minutes, and it was very awkward. You know, like I'm a kid, I don't remember much just because that's just how the brain works. So a month after I gave up alcohol, met my father for the first time, I started kind of communicating with a couple of half siblings that I had. My shoulder reconstruction surgery, it's my scar right here, a full reconstruction, 40% repair, the glenohumeral head of the shoulder. That was on November 30th. And then 3 weeks later, December 21st, my father passed away. And it's okay, like it's not sad at all. It's just the facts. And having to deal with all that in a little bit of time. Oh shit, sorry, I'm kind of jumping. This is why. So October 19th, 2024, no alcohol. A couple weeks after that, I meet my dad. My surgery date for my shoulder is November 30th. And then about 2 weeks after that, I get recruited back from one job I'm working back into a commercial gym. I won't say the name, I don't want to get in trouble. So a lot of stuff happened in a very short amount of time, like a 4-week period. And then after I got recruited back to that new gym, my father passed away. And not only that, the next month after I got recruited from one job back to this corporate job, the corporate job nationwide, they laid off my position. So then, in that 3-month span between meeting my father, him passing away, shoulder reconstruction, getting recruited back, and then getting fired, that was a maybe 3-month span 2 years ago. So I go to open up my business. I'm staying on the path of my shoulder recovery, staying sober, and not gonna lie, I still see a lot of success in my training business privately, and I think a lot of it has to do with how I condone myself personally. Fast forward, last year, grandma unfortunately gets sick, ends up passing away. I already didn't really have a close relationship with my mother, and that's officially pretty much in the dirt at this point. And a lot of people, granted, not to compare problems, but a lot of people that I've talked to or deal with, respectfully, and I mean this with the utmost respect, I personally do not think a lot of people could deal with half of the stuff I've dealt with in that amount of time, especially if they had substance abuse issues. And for me, that's kind of why I'm making this video out here. It's easy to look at somebody and be like, oh, San Diego tattoos personal trainer must be successful, daddy money. I hear that a lot. I hear daddy money. And I've actually had to burn a couple people and be like, yeah, how you have daddy money if you ain't got a daddy? So just saying, and I'm not trying to boast or anything. It's just more or less boasting the fact that I'm willing to do harder things than a lot of other people are. And that is the concept of the work. And the Burke does work. Sure, everybody works hard, but you gotta work smart and you gotta work efficiently, and you gotta make sure the work you're doing sets yourself up for the future, whether that be the mental work, right? The physical work, like are you moving the chess pieces to set yourself up in a position? Because right now, it is what it is where I'm at now, but this is not the end goal for me. I want to be the ultimate, not only person, the ultimate coach, the ultimate father, the ultimate husband, so that not only I can be the example that I yearn for and the lack of leadership of me growing up, but also be who I need to be for the clients that say I am who I am, if that makes sense. At the end of the day, people will always lead the horse to water,